Hi everyone, this is Meir and staff at the School for Self-Healing. What an amazing trip I had. It was so wonderful to work in London with several of my old patients. And it was so wonderful to work in London with a woman who was disillusioned with her macular degeneration in her work and started to see better and become more optimistic. The workshop in Devon was marvelous and big, at least big in my size, basically 20 people. And my lecture to the Macular Society have woken up many people with macular degeneration to know that they can see better. And that was my goal. I violated some rules there in that I started to talk and introduce myself a little bit early. And I regretted that, but I was so enthused to bring the message that we can prevent and overcome macular degeneration. And now my message is further than that. We can prevent and overcome glaucoma. We can prevent cataracts. We can prevent so many problems. It starts with our commitment to work on ourselves. And more than that, we can prevent back problems from ever starting. Now you're going to hear my lecture at the Macular Degeneration Society if you have patience to do it. And if you don't, it's okay. You can see shorter lectures of mine. But if you do, you may hear the deep connection that I have to all people who suffer. Many times we find ourselves standing against our own blocks, and often the blocks that were installed in us. Humanity would have been so much different if we had belief in ourselves. When our self-esteem gets bigger, we become less disabled, more optimistic, and more happy to meet life. All of you take 10 deep breaths. And when you listen to it, maybe you can rub your hands, put your hands around your eye orbits, and listen to my passionate lecture and speech to the Macular Society of Southern England. I was so happy that Carol, who is in Devon, had brought up with real enthusiasm her improvement. And later on, she told me it was even bigger than what she said, because her prescription decreased and her vision improved. What a wonderful thing. She's an author and a writer and lives wonderful life in the beautiful scenery area of Devon, where she lives. What a wonderful message to the people with macular degeneration. I'm happy every single time when I can prevent the macula from deteriorating. And by the way, we have a very good working theory of why the macula can rebuild. Truth of the matter is, the whole world knows now that the brain has great amount of flexibility. The only ones who don't practice it are neurologists and ophthalmologists. The whole world writes about how the brain is flexible. In my book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing, and in my workshops, just like the one that's going to come this Friday, I'm showing you many ways to experience the flexibility, and with enough continuation to promote it to yourself and be completely different in your life, without the disease that everybody expects you to have, without the tension that people expect you to have, with more joy, with more aliveness. Use your symptoms not as something you feel miserable about, but as if it's a springboard from which you will bounce up and up in your life, just like Carol did. Look what happened. Instead of blindness, more sight. Instead of retiring to misery, becoming an author and looking at beauty. Can anything be better? So rub your hands, sit comfortably, make sure that your elbows are leaning against something like pillows on a table. We have also nice palming sticks. Rub your hands, put your hands around the eye orbits. Breathe deeply. Count 4 when you inhale and 7 when you exhale. Visualize you see darkness and listen to my talk. So first of all, I'm really happy to be here. And for me, in some ways, it's a nice historical moment. I mean, you could say I'm coming just to a place where patients with macular degeneration meet and do all kinds of stuff together. But it is so important for me to talk about macular degeneration. And for me, if nothing else, it is symbolic that I'm speaking to the Macular Degeneration Society right here in Exeter in southern England. And the reason is, and I want to explain it very well, that I think for 46 years I've been a rebel, so to speak, with the medical profession and what they think. And of course, since all of you have been diagnosed and seen and working with doctors, take everything that I say with a grain of salt, because whatever I'm telling you is probably 180 degrees opposite of whatever you heard, okay? So why should you believe me? You haven't seen me before, and maybe some of you will see me later on, but at this point, what I'm telling you is going to be so different from anything you ever heard, that even if you take 10% of it as truth, I would feel that I accomplished something. Okay? So that's very important for me. I want to tell you that I started my work as a patient myself. I was not born with macular degeneration. I don't have Stargardt. My retina is perfect. Thank God. Okay? And I know how it is to be with imperfect retina. But I was born with another eye problem. I was born with cataracts. And I'm sure that some of you had cataract removal surgeries and implants. But it is different when you're born with it than if you develop it in an older age. When you are born, you look at the world, but just for 1 hour. Then you stop looking at the world for 8 weeks. You're busy doing other things, learning to suck, learning to hear. And at the age of 8 weeks, you look and actually you see very well, but just from a very short distance, about 2 feet, basically. And then slowly your visual system develops as the rest of the body develops, and you see more and more until the age of 2.5, where you see better than 20/20. Do you have 6/6 or 20/20? What are your measurements? What? 6/6 or 20/20? Okay.
Actually, they don't tell them the numbers very much.
Okay. So until you see better than what the doctors think is 100% of normal vision. Okay? So basically you see a line better than that. If you were able to read, that you can't at the age of 2.5, but you would have seen a line better on the chart. Okay?
The bottom line, you mean?
Bottom of bottom. You see? Yeah, let me just... Well, but I don't think most of them will see it. But basically, this is 20/20 in the chart from 20 feet, right? So you'd see enough to be able to read this from 20 feet if you could have read that. Okay? That's what you see at the age of 2.5. If you lived in the Amazons, chances are that your vision will even get to 2010, which, chances are that your vision will even be 2010. That means that somebody who sees 20/20, who sees this line from 20 feet, will have to stand closer from 10 feet.
The problem is when you do the test with macular degeneration is you have to focus to begin with, and you're meant to do it quick, aren't you? You've got to jiggle around to try and get to the smaller letters, because bits are missing, then they come, then they go. To get down when you're very small, that's the problem when you do
I couldn't agree with you more.
Do an eye test with a,
I couldn't agree with you more. Let me add something to it. Before you do an eye test, you should have a shoulder massage.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
And while doing an eye test, you should have a break and dance.
Yeah.
And only then the eye test is more relevant.
You've got to be relaxed, haven't you?
Exactly, I agree with you 100%. So to come back to my case, so what happens is that the visual system develops between the age of 2.5 years, between the age of 8 weeks to 2.5 years. And I missed all that development. Because my surgeries were done at the age of 4. Okay? And they were done very badly. I'm going to show you evidence of that. And the result was that my brain wrote off the whole idea of seeing. The whole idea of seeing wasn't in my brain any longer. And do you have pictures of my eyes? Very good. And so on top of the fact that the whole idea wasn't in my brain any longer, I'd like to show you. This is a normal lens. This is mine after 5 surgery. Okay? Carol, can you... we can. So what happened is I have, this is my strong eye, my right eye. And 99% of my lens is a scar tissue. 99%. And the light is bounced back. So from a physical perspective of the eye, and from also a functional perspective of the brain, I should be blind. Okay? And my vision was basically 1% of normal vision. Okay, basically to explain it to you, if you talk about the chart, this E, okay, I was able to see from 5 feet with strong correction, and with no correction from 2 feet. Okay, that used to be my vision. Today, I can see the third line from 20 feet, and I can read right and right. Okay? Now the DMV was very hesitant about allowing me to drive, so they tested me this visual eye test, they call it, that even if your vision is not sufficient, you are being tested to see how you can drive in California. And they tested me day and night. Okay? So I drove, it was an hour test in the freeway, in the motorway. And the first 2 I failed, the third I passed. I have unrestricted driver's license. That's my little story I want to tell you. So has, in a way, nothing to do with macular degeneration. In a way, everything to do with the visual system. Okay? Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, you can now understand that since I have a blind certificate for good from the state of Israel and a driver's license from the state of California, that I have a little bit different perspective of treating vision. Okay? Now let's return to macular degeneration. Okay? If you look at the literature of the medical profession, they basically say that nothing except they think the sun could cause macular degeneration. It just happened. And basically, your macula degenerates. And there's 2 main problems in the macula. I mean, if we don't talk about Stargardt or juvenile macular degeneration, we talk about aging macular degeneration. These days, the aging one starts at 40 and 50. We don't wait anymore for the 70s and 80s, you know. If you look at it in their way, there is nothing you could do to prevent it. There is nothing you can do to treat it. There's nothing that can be done until the research will show us a way to do it. Is that correct or not?
It's a long way ahead.
Right. And that's what they say about muscular dystrophy. Already, I think that $1 billion was spent on research no luck yet, okay? That's basically, I've seen several research projects. One was to try and install healthy macula where the macula is not healthy and to see if it works. It doesn't. And this is one of the problems that we have, in that in many ways we are pagans. How are we pagans? We believe in our gods. Our God is medicine. That is where the solution should be, nowhere else. The right drug will be invented, the right surgery will be invented, and if that's not being invented, anything else doesn't exist. And I want to tell you, this is exactly where my controversy is. Sometimes what exists is outside of the institutions. Sometimes what's being found is not where you expected the most. And what is missing in our institution, and hear me well, is physical therapy for the eye. They have orthoptics for kids, and I don't like them too much. And by the way, I'm not crazy about the physiotherapy that exists as it is. And many of my students, and I'll teach a very big class in Brazil, are physiotherapy students. Some of them are students of ophthalmology and optometry and many other things. I just will never forget how we all of a sudden got a bus of legally blind people to be worked by my students in Brazil. Like, we had to separate the class a lot, and I had to find what to do with each one of them. And boy, there were some problems there. But what I want to say is this: medicine gave up on your ability to improve your vision and convinced you that there is nothing you can possibly do to improve your vision because of your condition. I am standing against that wall. I don't have medical credentials, even though many people with medical credentials are studying with me. I don't have the prestige of the medical profession, but I am very convinced in my truth. And that's why I'm presenting it. And that's why I believe that it's going to be hard for you to accept everything that I'm saying. But again, keep an open mind, because that's the best way to move forwards. Okay? So let me start and tell you about a case that I had in the 80s. A very lovely man in the age of 73. In that time, I thought he was old, because I wasn't my age. I was in the 80s. I was in my late 20s. Yeah. Came to me with macular degeneration after laser surgery in his macula. By the way, I feel that I was very courageous, because I really opposed that surgery. And you could go to jail advising a person not to do that surgery. Fast forward about 15 years, all ophthalmology opposed that surgery and put injection instead of that surgery, right? That's what happened with bleeding macular degeneration. So he had a surgery, a laser surgery, that caused him to see 8 images of the world. Everything he saw 8 times. His vision was 2400, which is 5% of normal vision. That means that what a person who sees 20/20 can see from 400 feet, which is twice as big as this E, he could see from 20 feet. Although he could see nothing from 20 feet, he would have to stand from 10 feet to see this big E. Okay? So he came really devastated with his situation, and it wasn't correctable with glasses in any way. So we worked. First of all, I thought he was really hunched back. So I've done with him many wonderful exercises. One of them I just can demonstrate. I got him to stretch his arm and look at one arm and put it back, and stretch and look at one arm and put it back. And I worked with him, and I straightened his back. Immediately it meant more circulation to the visual system. Okay? Also asked him, what did he do all of his life? And he was a pharmacist. So he said, after finishing university, what I've done is looking at prescriptions and medicine bottles. That's what I've done. So all the time he looked from near. All the time. I said, okay, so now let's rest from this look at a distance. He spent 2 hours a day looking at a distance. We've done many more exercises, and I will tell you some of the essential part of the exercise because I only have 1 hour to speak today. And even in the 2 days that I had now with wonderful workshop right here in Exeter, I wasn't able to cover everything. But those are my 2 latest books. Vision for Life, very popular book worldwide right now. Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing, which is a continuation of the Handbook of Self-Healing with 600 exercises, 300 illustrations, with a wonderful portion on macular degeneration as well. The Vision for Life also has a small DVD that goes with it. So those of you who cannot read the book can still have the book so others will read it to you, but can watch the DVD, and they're trying to put it on Audible soon. This is going to be put on Audible soon as well. But those of you who want to have the book to see the illustrations can do that as well. Anyway, I've written many books. We have here the Miracle Eyesight Method. I like that name. You used to have a problem with that, but I like that name as well, of eye exercises. Yoga for Your Eyes is so good that somebody in the Eastern world stole it, and 60,000 people looked at it, the stolen DVD, so those things happen. But I just want you to know that a whole body of knowledge is here. What happened with L, that person I told you about, is that in 3 months, his vision improved from 2,400 to 2,100, from 5% to 40% vision. And his vision was correctable, and it was corrected to 20/25 or 6/7. Basically 95% of what's considered to be 100% vision. He went for me for a circuit of radio shows to talk about his improvement. It was a fantastic thing. So that was the best case ever I had with macular degeneration. I'm having lately wonderful cases too. I have an 80-year-old lady who the doctor said, well, you see better than you should be seeing. But when she told them about eye exercise, they thought, well, that's nonsense. Okay? And Carol, do you mind saying a word or two about your experience with your eyes with me? Can you stand up?
I first met Mayo in 2002, I think it was, when I'd just been diagnosed with macular degeneration. And a friend of mine said, oh, she'd heard of Mayo. Mayo was doing a workshop in Bath, that's right, it was in Bath. And I went up there and I was really quite panicky at that stage because I'd just been diagnosed, and it's quite sort of scary, it was for me, because I was quite young to have it. And I did the 2 workshops and got to know Mia, and have been to lots of workshops since. And I found it really very helpful. I mean, I do lots of things. I do all the supplements as well, and microcurrent stimulation. But for me, what I particularly enjoy is doing the eye exercises, looking into the distance, the palm. It's a really nice way to relax, and I find it really helpful. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I remember once your bleeding stopped after a while, wasn't it?
A little bit, but I was mostly dry line. But there was a little bit, yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk about what we do for macular degeneration specifically. So first of all, I think that most of you should have, if you don't have, the Amsler grid. You all know this one, right? You all were tested in this Amsler grid, right? For me, that's the best test there is. Whatever pictures they take out of your eye does not reflect what exactly happens. The question is, what do you see rather than how does it look? Okay? One very, very good top ophthalmologist said, it doesn't matter how the eye looks from the outside. The question is what happens from the inside. Okay? Some people cannot do this Amsler grid, so we're giving them real big dot and squares here so they would be able to find out what they really see. This is just the front line, so I don't know if we don't want to pass it. So Jean, maybe you can go through the some lines. There's the small grid and the big grid. We have it in different colors. Black, we have it in white. The first line saw it, so make sure the other line saw it. So the first thing that I like people to do with macular degeneration is measure their own squiggly lines or straight lines so they know what really happens to them. And then we do exercises, so I would call it the physiotherapy for the eye. Yeah. So we do physiotherapy for the eye to see if what we do works. So the point that we have is, instead of getting an exterior research to tell us how things are, we research ourselves and see how things are going with us. Because you know that whenever you don't have macular degeneration, everything, all the squares look squares. What?
It comes and goes.
Right. It comes and goes. That's very important. Right. Comes and goes. Things are not stable in one way. I agree with you 100%. So I want to tell you what we then do with people with macular degeneration. Now, there's few phases. First of all, we have to understand that when a person comes to me with macular degeneration, they may have also other problems, not only macular degeneration. For one thing, somebody could have nearsightedness or short-sightedness and macular degeneration. Somebody could have presbyopia and macular degeneration. And just hitting the hammer on the nail and saying, what I have is macular degeneration, doesn't really show us the full picture. So if in any way we can decrease one's myopia or short-sightedness, if in any way we can decrease one's presbyopia, we already give them better visual life, so to speak. Because the most important thing is not what the name of your problem is, but how well you see. That's the most important thing. That's the beginning and the end of everything, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? How well do you see, and what's your process? Is your process for diminished vision or stable vision? That's the first thing that we're thinking about. The second thing we're thinking about is how to help specifically the macula. I'll tell you some funny things that I do. If a person lost the macula completely, that means they would look at my face and I have no nose, so to speak. You know, like the central vision is gone. Then what I will do is very unorthodox. I would cover their face with a mask, basically. I call it the mask of Zorro, just for fun. And sometimes I would patch one eye if it's a stronger eye, because quite often the two eyes are not exactly the same. And I would put a hole in a paper patch in the other eye and have them look to the small area. Now, they would see, I want them to look, whenever a person says, this is where I don't see things, I said, great. They hardly think it's great, because that's exactly where things are fuzzy. But that's the first time that their brain can actually look to that area. Because you know what the body tries to do? It tries to prevent you from looking with that area. What we normally quite often do with the brain, because, you know, for the brain, we're still in the jungle. I mean, how long are we out of the jungle? Not that long, right? So the brain wants to hunt. The brain wants to survive. The brain still thinks you have to deal with crazy animals, you know, things of that nature. We then basically quite often do not in any way pay attention to our blind spots. But I'm trying to do the opposite, to wake it up. Now, I found in more than 50% of the cases that actually you can take those people to a garden. Of course, you have to hold their hand, because you're covered with a mask everywhere they looked with, and you only leave the area that doesn't see so well, and it's a small area, very small area, because, you know, the macula is 1.5% of the total visual field, right? And so I hold the hand, they move the head from side to side, and oh, they discover a bush, then they discover leaves, then they discover flowers, and what? The brain starts to use the area that was never used. And you know the name, use it or lose it. And the problem is that the more we lose vision, the less we use that vision, and so then we lose more and more and more of it. Okay? Some people, however, cannot see objects that well, and those wonderful miracle moments do not happen with them. What I do then, I put them in the dark room and have light blinking, because you see nothing better than blinking light. So they start and wake up the dead area. Okay? And I found that in some of those cases, nothing is for all, and I feel like a lonely wolf in the dark in a way, because very, very few people think the way I think. Okay? Mainly my students. Okay? And some of them are very talented. But I would say that we still have to get more advances. But I've seen some cases where after those blinking lights, they start to actually see the outdoors. And when I take that mask off, the relief and the sense of good vision is unbelievable. And quite often, it reflects itself in better reading on the chart. It definitely reflects itself in being able to handle what you see better. So there's few phases we need to take. The number one phase, the fact that you're here is great, because it means that you're trying to get along with the loss of vision that you have in any way you can. Okay? So, but it's a mistake to use the periphery in compensation of a lost center. The right way to work is to actually use the lost center. I want to tell you, this is the total different thought that I have from the medical practice and from most people thinking. And I'll explain to you why. I used to work with polio patients in my 20s. And here's what physiotherapy did with polio patients. They used to teach them to work hard with the limb that was strong, with the leg that was strong, because normally there's imbalance. One group of limb works, although it's so different from patient to patient, it's unbelievable. Most people who had the polio virus never had symptoms, just 15% of them. And from those, some died and most lived with paralysis. But the paralysis was different from person to person. It's just that in most cases, it was different from one part of the body to another. And so what happens is physiotherapy taught people with polio to work hard with the areas that could be functional. So they could drive, so they could chop vegetables, so they could do all kinds of things with what they had. That made sense, right? Except it put so much stress on the areas they worked with that within 20 to 30 years, there was what we call the post-polio episodes, where you got a repeat of the polio symptoms, where there was real destruction in the body, there were strokes and heart attacks and other problems, and they call them post-polio. My patients got post-polio between 20 and 30 years after the other people got post-polio, because I taught them to use their weak parts. I worked on the paralyzed limbs, sometimes only with 5% improvement after a year of work, sometimes 60% improvement. But it took them much longer to decay. And so the thought is, your periphery is perfect, your center is not there, so let's just work with the periphery that you have. No. Work on the center that you lost. That's basically what I'm saying. And then the periphery will work better anyway, because you work with more of what you have. So I want to start and talk to you about the principles of natural vision improvement. But before that, I want you to loosen up your back. So stand up, because you know, sitting is very hard on the back. Okay. And look up at the ceiling and tap on your chest. So push the chest forward so the neck will fall back. And you can see that stiff neck is a part of quite a few of the people here, right? Breathe deeply and slowly. And then, those of you who can, grab your leg. Grab your leg, push the chest forward, you can lean against something. Grab your leg, push the chest forwards. And breathe deeply. I'm grateful to how you all want to work with it, okay? Grab the other leg. Push the chest forwards. Okay, and have a seat. Yeah. Okay, I don't hear you, so everybody seated. Carol wants to say something.
I just want to say, because I wasn't expecting Mayor to ask me to talk, but what I did say was that, first of all, that I'm still learning, and the consultant said, probably 5 years I might not be able to do that. And what it has given me, doing Mayor's exercises, has given me confidence. And I think if you've got that confidence there, then anything can happen. It's sort of believing that you're empowered to do things for yourself and not being reliant on other people. And so.
When were you diagnosed?
2002.
Okay, so this is 2018. She was supposed to lose her vision within 5 years, and she didn't. And she's driving, and she's an author of a few books. Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
Okay.
Have you got wet or dry?
Well, it was a bit of wet early on, and then it seems to the wet has sort of calmed down and sort of disappeared. When the scans, I had great huge bumps in both eyes, and it's all levelled off now. And they looked at it and said, really surprised at that.
Yeah. You don't think injections for the wet?
No, I didn't.
Nice, huh? All right. But many people, it's true that in wet you can lose your vision in a year. And in drusen, you lose your vision in 15 years. But when you lose your vision, you lose your vision. Wet, dry, doesn't matter. And basically, you have the same kind of problems. The problem is not enough blood flows to the eye. So the phagocytes do not clear the drusen. And we need to improve the function of the phagocyte. And there is nothing like circulation to do that. And the wet basically is a result of the fact that not enough blood comes to the retina. And so the body produces capillaries that are imperfect and they leak. And the leaking of the capillaries leads to destruction of the macular cells. And I think if you had more circulation, you wouldn't need as many injections. That's my opinion. I've seen quite a few of those things. I'm always advising people to take injections. Okay? In fact, just lately, I advised a lady who's 100 years of age to take 4 injections that a doctor suggested for her. Okay? But I do anything I can do so they won't be necessary to take. And when you have better blood flow, you don't need them. That's what I think. And eventually, the idea that the injection will help you for good does not hold water. Because with time, the bleeding becomes more powerful than the medication.
Can I just make it? My first contact with Meir, because I heard about him, is I called him, and he was teaching a class, but I got him on a break. And I said, I don't know, they're going to give me injections, and I'm not sure this is the right thing. And he said, look, you take injections until the leaking stops. It's like he's not going against the medical. He's just telling us what else we can do for ourselves. So he encouraged me to relax and follow the medical advice. That was my first contact with him.
Yeah, well, the point is this. I don't disagree with the medical advice. I disagree with their philosophy. And the philosophy is there is nothing that you can do for yourself, and I just don't accept that.
They're not all like that, though. My consultant doesn't say that.
Good.
One did say, no, nothing we can do. But this one gives you advice and help. So it's more encouraging, my consultant.
Wonderful.
I was lucky.
But in that sense, he was independent of what he learned.
I think he's a bit older and he's had more experience of things.
Very good.
That's what it is, yeah.
So I want to talk to you about the 9 principles of natural vision improvement as it's written in my book, Vision for Life, and as it's written in my book, Awakening Your Power. Awakening Your Power is a wonderful section for macular degeneration as well. and I would recommend you to have it. We even have a promotion for it. Because I'm the publisher. Until now, this is by another publisher, but Awakening of Fire is mine. I'm putting it in. But anyway, so here are the principles of natural vision improvement. Number one, deep relaxation of the eyes. And there is nobody who is more stressed to see than somebody who lost some vision. And there is nowhere where you have more stress to see than when you're being tested. So basically, the first thing that I'm talking about is deep relaxation of the eyes. And we'll go through one or two exercises of that today, because we have a short period of time. This is not a workshop, it's a lecture. I know that, but we'll do a little bit of that. The second principle is adjustment to different light frequencies. Here, I'm completely controversial. I'm not a believer in sunglasses. In fact, the opposite is the case. And all the doctors will tell you, except some freaks who studied with me, some ophthalmologists who did that, but all the doctors will tell you, wear sunglasses to save your eye. And I say, forget it. Because the macula needs the sun. It needs the sun. With the sun, the macula gets completely active. Without full light, the macula is completely inactive. I'll give you an example. You have no activity of the macula in the dark of the night, right? So when there is no strong light, there is no macular work. But the macula is working at its fullest in the strongest possible light. Now, the moment that you lost some of the macula, light bothers you like crazy. Yeah? Light starts to be very hard on the eyes because it doesn't break evenly. There's a great harmony between the cornea and the aqueous humor behind it, and the lens and the vitreous behind it, and the retina. And there's all kinds of changes. Even the vitreous, which is a gel-like, even changes when the light breaks in. And the moment that parts of the visual system starts to be distorted, and it could be all kinds of parts, and in our case, the macula, the light does not bounce in an even manner. But for that reason, we have to strengthen our capacity to absorb light and not supposedly protect ourselves from light. It's just, for me, means like a person who is too weak to walk will use crutches to walk with as a first means to deal with his leg. And sometimes I'm very happy we have crutches because a person would sit in a wheelchair without those crutches. But I can tell you that if you're too quick, and physiotherapy sometimes is, to give a person a cane when he's limping, you're a year away from giving them crutches. And if you're quick in giving them crutches, you're a year away from giving them walkers. And after that, you're a year away from giving them a wheelchair. If we strengthen people in water and on land and may only use the cane at times and not use it most of the times, we then may be able to get those legs to function well. You put sunglasses on you and your light sensitivity only grows, because anytime you take them off, then the light will bother you even more. So in my opinion, sunglasses, with exceptions, there are always exceptions. I've learned something, that the world is never black and white. It's always in shades of gray. But with some exceptions, sunglasses should not be worn most of the time. Sometimes, yes, if you're under drug therapy, if somebody gave you atropine in your eye and your pupil is big, by all means, wear sunglasses for the next couple of days until your pupils start to have a better size. But the point is, the less you wear them and the more you adjust to the sun with a wonderful exercise which we call sunning, that unfortunately we won't have the time to go down and to come up and show it to you. But I'm sure that someone can show it to you, and I'm sure that, what? Paul can show it to you, Caroline can show it to you. They've been there, and we have a couple of my students here too. They can show it to you. And what it is, just take a look at this. Let's say this is the sun. I'm closing my eyes. The eyes are closed. As soon as you close the eyes, there's no UV radiation because the pupils take it out. Okay? They block it. And so the pupils really constrict, and when I move the head to the side, they expand. So they constrict and expand, and they become stronger and stronger. Slowly, the macula absorbs that light. Okay?
But with the eyes closed, for sure.
Yeah.
With the eyes closed. I said it 2 times, right? She said it 3rd time, I said 4th time. The eyes are closed, but they're closed very gently, as if you are going to sleep, very, very gently. That makes you see details better. I would have never been able to improve my vision have I not done the sunning for my eye. Never. Because there was no way for me to see things unless there was ample of light on it.
I was so short-sighted since I was 11 years old, and when I had these operations, you know, they took the cataract, I was low, and the lens. The first, when it came round after that operation, literally, it was like an eclipse of the sun. The light I'd never had in my eye, it was incredible. You had, you know, and that first week, and the distance vision is amazing. But, you know, all those years, I'd never been able to see one, and then all the colours I could see after the operation was amazing.
Isn't that nice?
Fantastic. Yeah. Apart from the macular degeneration, just to have that, you know, that, of course, I think what happened was after I could see better, it accentuated the macular thing. You know?
Well, it all depends. Yeah, it all depends. So anyway, that's the second principle, but I want to finish that principle. We need to have darkness at night, something we normally don't have. And I would always prefer daylight in the daytime. Like, I don't like these lights that we have above us right now. And if I didn't have a big group of people whose vision... Actually, let's try it without these lights. Let's try it without the lights. Let's turn them off. We really need to adjust to the daylight. Yeah. Do you see how relaxing it is for the eyes to not have all this light?
That's what the cavemen, they just like candles, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I won't repeat what you said. But anyway, what I'm saying, well, you can say it again, though, but I don't. But what I want to say is the softness of the daylight is just a wonderful thing. And John, if you can turn it off there.
Relaxing.
Yeah, it's very relaxing to adjust to the daylight. With time, it could be relaxing to be in the sun. Now, let's talk about the night right now. Night, you know, there's a wonderful book of Paul Bogart, The End of Night. Night is finished in our modern world. We have destroyed the circadian rhythm of most people. We don't sleep enough. And we look at a world full of light in the middle of the night, which means we're not allowing the macula to rest. That's what it needs to do. And the periphery to work all the way. And we're basically putting tremendous effort on our visual system, and we're using too much of our central vision throughout the day, which is very destructive for the macula. That's what I think. And I just want to give you some things. You know, many people get cancer because they don't secrete melatonin. And don't think that taking the product does any good. You got to produce it in your pituitary gland. And most people don't produce it enough because it's not dark enough at night. Okay? 100 million birds die in North America alone for colliding against tall buildings and airplanes. And I think the main reason is that they are really being disturbed by all the light pollution that we humans are bringing to the world. So we all know about noise pollution, but we all know about other kinds of pollution, but we forgot that there's also light pollution. And it's a huge pollution. And I considered actually sunglasses to be harmful for the eyes, and I considered light at night to be harmful for the eyes, both. Okay? Now comes the third principle, distance viewing. The reason why people have cataracts, we don't look enough at a distance. The lens basically becomes flat when we look at a distance and round when we look from near. And it's a much bigger effort to look from near than to look from far. Now, many of you lost a lot of vision from both. And of course, it's easier for you to see close object than farther object in many ways. But originally, the eye does better looking from far than from near. Don't forget that for 2 million years, we were in the jungle. And most of our view was trees and water and, rivers and seas. And lately, most of our view is what's in the computer and reading. So we basically have a problem of not looking enough at a distance. And that's why the case I told you was so striking to me, that looking at a distance really made a difference in his vision, and it moved him from being legally blind and badly legally blind to being nearly with normal vision. Fantastic. Okay. Next principle is this detailed vision. John, can you give everybody, unless we don't have enough, shifters? Detailed vision. Okay? Detailed vision is the most important vision that exists for us. Okay? The most important vision that exists for us.
Can you distribute the button?
What you lose when you lose the macula is the ability to see details. But it starts long before you lose your macula. Okay, we distribute but we don't talk, okay? All right. The biggest problem is that when we read, we learn to read a whole paragraph at once and not to simply look at part by part at the page. The macula is only 1.5% of the total visual field. The fovea centralis in the center of the macula is 0.5%. The foveola is basically 0.2%, and that sees very sharp. That's what the natives in the Amazon see when they see whether fruit matured in the top of a tree or not, while people with normal vision, 100%, 20/20, cannot even see the fruit, right? So when you have that kind of a vision, it is because of details. The curiosity for details is what builds up the vision of the infant and then the baby. And we lost our curiosity. And you don't go to the supermarket to see all that's in the shelves. You need to find your tomato sauce. That's where you're going to. And before you know, you ignore what you don't want to see. There's too much info on the one end, and there's too little interest. You read book for the contents of the book, not for anything else. So, this is a shifter. Take your glasses off, those who have glasses, if you can. And look right now, those of you who do not see well enough, look at the big lines. Those of you who see well, look at the smaller lines. And Jean, give everybody a small piece of paper, and let me show you how I wear it. Give it to me. So, if we all looked, and Jean, do the same thing, and Paul, do the same thing, so people will see what we're doing, okay? Okay. So, look at this. I made a loop in this. Made a loop. And now I'm covering my strong eye from near. Okay? So it sticks to the bridge of my nose and to the paper. The masking tape, yeah? No glasses, please. Blink, breathe.
No matter which eye, just...
You cover the strong eye.
Oh, the strongest eye.
You cover the strong eye. But you don't really cover it. You actually leave a lot of space for the periphery by putting it on the bridge of your nose. If you don't know, you can find out. Jean, we have large and small print here.
Yeah.
Here, my friend. Take a look here.
Yeah.
Take a look at the paragraph you can see.
I have to use glasses to read.
No. So why won't you look?
Oh, right.
Why won't you look on the other
Oh, right, yeah, I
side?
can read that. Yeah.
And then see which eye sees better the smallest paragraph you can possibly see. Fine. That's the one.
Even with the top,
Yeah. That's the one that you cover.
your best eye.
Your better eye. Again, I know it's difficult for people to think about it. Cover your strong eye, not your weaker eye, your stronger eye. If you need help, we can help you find quickly which is your stronger eye from near.
Just sort of do it with the top bit. Yeah,
Everyone has the large and small phone?
Sooner or later, yes, we'll have them. But at this point,
You give whichever is your...
Paul is giving them?
No, I don't know. Did you take them?
No, I just took one. I mean, did I take them? I took one. They're here. Okay. So we're all passing this. No glasses, please. No glasses. So put it over your strong eye. Can you make sure that they're putting it over the strong eye?
Stay on.
Paul, don't stay too long with one person. Make sure people are putting it over the strong eye.
Yeah, it needs some more tape.
It's a bad tape. I will give you more tape.
I'll try this bit.
Jean, do we have more masking tape?
Some more.
Do we have more masking tape? You need more tape, right?
It's only because I don't know why it wouldn't. That's better.
Here. Not, you don't do it on the eye, but on the bridge of the nose.
I've done it wrong. Probably because it's greasy, that's why the nose is not.
The eyes are the same? Come to me. Let me see.
Yeah, I can definitely tell.
Jean, do we have large and small print? Do you have large and small print? Yeah. Come to me. Let's see if they're all the same. No. This is the shifter. This is not large and small print. That's what. Let me take one of those. Okay. Take this off. Can you read this? Yeah? Can you read this? Can you read this? Can you read this? Okay. Cover your right eye with your hand. How do you read this? Cover the left eye with your hand. How do you read this? What? Okay, so you cover the left hand. That's how you know they're not the same. Okay? So you see, we do all kinds of empirical things. So, okay, so now you cover the strong eye, wave your hand to the side of the strong eye, and look at the shifter with your weaker eye. Look at the shifter with your weaker eye, and look at the lines. Now, those of you who cannot see the small lines, look at the big lines. That's what they're made for you. Those who can see the small line, look at them, and you look up and down with your weaker eye. So put it, for example, my stronger eye is my right eye. I'm putting it to the left. Those of you with stronger eyes, the left eye, put it to the right. So look up and down, count the lines that you see. Count the lines you see. Now wave your hand to the side. That's why I put the paper. Don't cover your hand, your eye. Wave your hand to the side while looking up and down those lines.
Let me show someone how to put it.
Please.
Miss, you put the tape on your nose.
On the bridge of the nose.
Not on the side.
Okay, wave your hand to the side. Quickly, like towards you and away from you. More like, I would say, wave your hand more like this. But relax, just move it, relax your waist. So keep counting this. Jean, do we have balls and axes or no?
We have
Okay.
balls.
Balls. Okay. Okay. Put the shifter away for a second. All of you.
I get into double vision then sometimes.
What?
I get into double vision as well.
That's astigmatism. If it's in one eye, it's astigmatism. Okay. All of you, take a ball. Take a ball. Take a ball. Oh. Okay, you can give people ball. Can you catch a ball? Oh, almost. Can you catch a ball? Okay. Get a ball, everybody. Get a ball. Take one ball. Everyone. Now stand up. Stand up. Wave your hand to the side of the stronger eye. Wave your hand to the side of the stronger eye. No. Your stronger eye is this one. Okay? So wave your hand to the side of the... Wave your hand to the side of the stronger eye. That's your ball hand. Wave this hand. This hand. Okay? And throw and catch the ball with the other eye. So wave your hand to the side of the strong eye. And by the way, here is one for you.
See what you're trying to do.
Do it kind of in your case, just move this thing up and down and wave your hand.
Train the eyes.
Yeah. Now run in place as you do it. Run in place and throw and catch the ball. And if you cannot throw and catch the ball, just move the hand. Okay. There you go. Wave. Throw and catch the ball. Yeah, very good.
It's concentrating and getting things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now have a sit again. Have a sit again. Now wave your hand to the side. And now look at the shifter again. The shifter that is on the floor now. Take it up. Look at the shifter again. Look up and down. All those lines. Count. How many lines do you see on top? Those who see it on top. How many do you see in the bottom? But don't simply count them. Look up and down as you wave your hand to the side. Wave your hand to the side and look at them.
Very odd, they've actually gone straight.
Nice, huh? Wave as you're counting.
They're normally all wavy and then suddenly go.
Nice. Now take the paper off. Take the paper off. Put it on your shirt. Don't throw it away. Put it on your shirt. Take the paper off. Now tell me, how do they look to you right now?
And then they go wavy again. See, that made it straight. Made it straighten up, didn't it? Just in that few seconds.
Now, take the paper with the page with the large and small print that was given to you. Can I have one?
The page?
We have 10 more minutes. We just stopped at 12.
Good.
It's amazing.
I'll be glad to. She's upset?
Yeah, she thinks very rude.
I'm rude?
That's her feeling, but she's upset. So 10 more minutes, if that's okay, and then there's food, and we have the food.
Okay, let me ask you this question. How does the page look to you right now? Now, put the small piece of paper on the bridge of your nose. The same as we've done before on the stronger eye. Okay, wave your hand to the side. Wave your hand to the side and look at the page. How does the page look to you right now? Now, and look at any letters that you looked at before. Okay? Close your eyes and say out loud, all of you out loud, the ink is black, the page is white. The ink is black, the page is white. Again, the ink is black, the page is white. Again,
ink is black, the page is white. Open your eyes and wave again. Wave. Now take the paper off. Take the paper off. How does the page look to you right now?
See stigmatism online as well. It's definitely
interesting. Okay. So, I want to do one more thing with this paper that you have. Put the masking tape now in the middle. And put the paper between your eyes. Like this. Do you see how I look like? Paper between my eyes.
Yeah.
Look at me. Paper between. Okay? Put the paper between the eyes. So, Jean, can you see it? Other people do it? Paul, can you see it? Other people do it? Paper between the eyes. Now, wave your hands to the side. Both hands to the side. Now we're working on our periphery. Jean, give everybody the large piece of paper. Yeah. Wave them to the side. Stand up for a moment. Blink and breathe. Blink and breathe. Wave your hands to your side like this. You don't need the ball for that. Wave your hands to the side. Yeah, good. Now have a seat. And you take the paper off. Take the black paper off. Let me ask you the question, how do the eyes feel? Better, right? What we did is we blocked our central vision and we allowed the peripheral vision to work. Okay? It's the opposite of what I was telling you earlier that I do with people, where I block their peripheral vision and work with the central vision. But all of us need to wake up the peripheral vision also. There's no part that we don't need to wake up, but actually, it actually made my case in some ways. Because we so much concentrate on the center, then we don't give enough space for the periphery to wake up.
Get the whole light to work together.
So what we need is always work on, that's, as a person who exercises different parts of the human system, I need to see a situation where basically all parts are being allowed to do work. So, look at what I'm doing. I'm putting the paper, I'm doing a loop in the middle, so I have two papers with central, with the masking tape being in the center. So let me pass it. Can you pass it to yourself and the other few people here?
Making a loop in the middle.
You make a loop in the middle in both papers. Here for you. The big and the small. Here for you.
Big and the small.
Yeah, the big and the small. Here.
Like that.
Here, you have for both.
I need a small.
Fresh paper. Okay, we need to put a loop in the middle of the small and a loop in the middle of the big.
So we need a big bit of paper.
Here. Jean, where's the big paper?
I distribute them.
It's not yet.
Oh, they work here.
This one here. There's the one that needed that size as well. There's only you got it.
Who needs one of these?
Anyone else?
Two more to this row.
There's one in the other room.
There we go.
Anybody need black paper?
Big and a small now.
Can you pass back the mask?
Yes.
Here.
got any little bits of paper? Just a little bit.
So you should have it on one. Because they don't think you got it on that one. We need to taste them. Take that one. Take this one.
It's a bit sweaty, doesn't stick.
It doesn't stick well. We need to get new print.
What it is because your skin is like a bit.
Yeah.
We're doing that.
Okay. So everybody has the big and the small piece of paper. We put a loop in the middle, right? Now, put the small piece of paper on and wave your hands to the side. Wave your hands below and above. Wave them to your side. Now, put the large piece of paper on and wave to the side. So now we really are covering most of our central vision and peripheral, right? And we're working with the external periphery. See, I really want to work with all the faculties that we have. Now rub your hands and put your hands around the eye orbits, very gently around the eye orbits, on top of the paper. Put your hands around the eye orbits on top of the paper. Yeah, visualize you see black. Can you visualize that? Real black, right? Now open your eyes and wave your hands to the side. And now put the small piece of paper between your eyes again. I have one question to ask you now that you put back the small piece of paper. Is the small piece of paper smaller? That means the field of vision is bigger, isn't it? Now take it off. You can keep those two papers for measurements, right? My question to you is, how do the eyes feel?
Pleased
Much
to be
better
here.
the lights off anyway.
So, you know, some people felt better when the light was off. Some people felt better when they were looking at the shifter. Some people felt better when the periphery is expanded. Let's do one more look at the shifter. Take a look from line to line. Now with both eyes, up and down.
Without glasses.
Without glasses. You know, when somebody has simple nearsightedness, my goal is to get them out of glasses sooner or later. If somebody has macular degeneration, my goal is to get them to see better with glasses. You know, that they will improve the vision while wearing glasses, basically. So move. Well, that's again the same thing. If you just were presbyopic, I would want you to eventually get rid of that. So reading in a strong light is a great thing. But if you have macular degeneration and it's hard for you any longer to read print, and we were able to progress and we could get you to the place that with glasses you could read print, I would feel very accomplished, basically. The whole point is improving vision. That's all I want to see happening. Okay, so we move up and down. I'm fanatic for the patient's improvement, nothing else. Okay? That's my fanaticism. So look at the lines. And blink. How do those lines look to you right now? Is it easy to look at them? Okay, so let me just review what I said. My first principle of natural vision improvement is relaxation. One more thing for relaxation is we need to blink really gently with our eyes. Never use your face. There's no such word in English or any other language that I speak that talks about don't squint. Squinting for me is don't use your face instead of your eye. Don't use your face instead of the eyelid. Use only the eyelid. Okay? A nice exercise for that is rub your hands and cover your eyes one by one after the other. So one eye closes, one eye open. You cover them one by one. That's a good way to blink. That the eyes are independent, can blink easily. Massage just the eyelashes a little bit, just stroke them and blink. So the eyes should never strain. Never strain. You never strain to see. Straining to see is only going to get the degeneration even worse. Okay? So learning to look, learning to blink at great ease, relaxation, adjustment to different light, amplitude, and frequencies. Distance viewing, detail viewing, peripheral vision. And that's something we didn't do enough of here. Balanced use of the eyes. But we did something by covering the strong eye and waving the hand. Balanced use of the eyes. Balanced use within each eye. Learning sections where we don't use. When I told you that we cover all the areas that see and we try to look with the area that doesn't see or sees poorly and work with it. Body and eye coordination. That's a very, very big topic for eye exercises. Body and eye coordination. And more blood flow to the visual system. Very important. More blood flow to the visual system. It's important for me that all those will be observed by us. Now, palming takes about 6 minutes, but we'll do it just for 2 minutes because we're not in a good position. Normally, I take a palming stick. Jean, do you have one for me? Palming stick? Yeah?
You have one on the corner.
Okay.
So you need to finish.
I know, I heard it.
I have the other one, but just...
Okay, I'm just trying to do it fast, that's all. Okay, so basically, I sit down and we put the hands around the eye orbits like this. So rub your hands. Put your hands around the eye orbits. Give me 2 minutes. And visualize that you're seeing darkness and maybe even blackness. Just put the hands around the eye orbits. And let's take 10 slow, deep breaths. Okay, we're finishing.
Okay, thank you.
So slowly take your hands off. And the only question that I have is, do the eyes feel slightly more relaxed after being covered? All right, I finished my lecture because this is the time for me to go. And I'd like to thank you very much for attending it.